be a champion, don't think outside the box until you've exalted everything there is inside the box first. Have we mastered leadership in turn? Have we mastered culture in turn? Have we mastered mindset in turn? Have we mastered selling in turn? If I can't sell like a pro, if I can't market like a pro, I will never get a chance to operate at an elite level. So by show of hands, have we mastered marketing as a company? I suggest you listen, follow directions, and execute. If you listen, if you follow directions, and if you execute. Ironically, to add just a little bit more color to what we shared, we just got back from Jersey Mike's national convention, and I'm on the advisory board. We've been working together for 8 years now, and we really saw them go from being an underdog, a small regional brand, to probably the hottest franchise in America. And it was just an 8-year run. And as Blake mentioned, Blackstone bought Jersey Mike's for $8 billion. And the founder, a guy named Peter Kincrow, started Jersey Mike's when he was 17 years old with one store. Incredible story. He was working at the store. He was supposed to go play college football in North Carolina and walk on. And when he got home from work one day, his mother says, "Hey, Peter, I hear Mike's sub shop is for sale. You ought to buy it." Peter's like, "Mom, I'm 17. It doesn't work that way." He said by the time he got to the top of the stairs, he was like, "What a great idea." His football coach happened to be a banker. He went to his football coach and said, "Hey, will you loan me $150,000 in 1972? To do the math, that's almost $1 million in today's dollars." So this 17-year-old kid had the chutzpah, had the courage to say, "You know what, I'm going to buy a sub shop at 17 years old and convince someone to give me the money, then the rest is history." Now he's sitting here, he's 68, and he just cashed a check for $8 billion selling sandwiches. He had a vision at 17, and he became relentless. Ironically, I had keynoted their conference multiple times. You know what? They tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Walter, we're going to get some different voices this year." I love pissed off. I love the keynote their conference. These guys have heard my voices a million times. But their opening keynote was no other than Mike Krzyzewski, the all-time winningest coach in college basketball, champion, former military guy. And it was amazing. He wasn't rah-rah, he didn't raise his voice, but he taught what leadership really was. I happened to be good friends with Grant Hill. I texted Grant Hill as soon as we got done. He said, "How's Coach K?" I said, "Man, you know what? I'm a motivational speaker, but let me tell you something. He didn't raise his voice one time. He was good because he taught leadership." I am convinced Mike Krzyzewski can turn anything into a team. I'm convinced. But here's the best part. The next speaker was a guy named Mike Rowe. Anybody know who that is? You know who he is. Who knows who Mike Rowe is? Dirty Jobs. Dirty Jobs. He is the founder of Dirty Jobs. He told the story of how the whole thing evolved. He was in a sewer in New York City. Can you imagine that? He was in a sewer, and he vividly explained what it was like to be in a sewer. And he took us all into this sewer. He told the story about being in a sewer, and how by being in a sewer, he came up with an idea of a show, and the rest is history. I say that to say, Mike Krzyzewski, in my mind, represented being a champion. Mike Rowe represented to me a guy who's willing to do the dirty work. So as we have this conversation today, it's important for us to have the mindset that we're going to be champions. But the secondary question is, are we willing to do the dirty work? Now, I'm going to remind you of my story and why I'm so passionate about what I do. On my long journey to make it to the NBA, I had no idea that the NBA can be a circus. You would think as a young man dreaming about the NBA, when you get inside the NBA, they all got it figured out. They all have amazing leadership. They all command basketball. My rookie year, unbeknownst to me, I'm signing my contract, and the director of player personnel says these words to me as I sign my contract. "Walter, we're going to lose, and we're going to lose a lot. It's going to be a long season." An NBA Director of Player Personnel said that to me. You guys know what happened? We lost. We lost. And we lost a lot. We were the second worst team in the history of the NBA. And the only reason we weren't the worst team was the Philadelphia 76ers won 9 games one year. We got hot the last month because we rallied together. We were dysfunctional. We had a lot of drama in the locker room. But guess what? We bound together for 1 month only because we didn't want to be the worst team ever. We won 4 games in a row in April when nobody cared. And we ended up the season winning 13 games. And we're the second worst team ever, which is really incredible that we bound together around the goal. And in 30 days, we achieved our goal. But what would have happened in training camp if we had a different leader? What would have happened in training camp if we had a different focus? My leader said, man, it's going to be a long year. We're going to lose, and we're going to lose a lot. I could not believe what I was hearing. And that's exactly what we got. Organizations almost always rise to the expectation of their leader. I've seen that in sports. I've seen it in business. And I've heard Blake. So eventually, this organization is going to rise to the expectation of their leader. It's inevitable. That's how the business world operates. That's why in sports, the head coach is everything. So when I left the Dallas Mavericks, to give you a little bit more insight and remind you of why I'm passionate around teamwork, I got a chance to play for the Utah Jazz. I left the second worst team ever and went right to play for the 4th all-time winningest coach in the history of the NBA. I got named Jerry Sloan. Jerry Sloan was simple. He was ordinary. He was basic. But let me tell you what we did. We executed and mastered the fundamentals. Every single day in practice, all we did was work on the basics. We mastered the fundamentals. Can I ask you a question? Why is everybody talking about thinking outside the box? Why is that such a catchy phrase? We need to think outside the box. Does anybody know what that's a catchy phrase? Here's why. I think because people are too lazy to exalt what's inside of them. If you're going to be a champion, don't think outside the box until you've exalted everything there is inside the box first. So by show of hands, if we have executed everything inside the box perfectly, raise your hand. That's it. So it makes no sense to me to think outside the box until we have fully exhausted everything inside the box. You guys talk back to me. How much have we executed what's inside the box so far? I heard Blake used the term mediocre. What percentage are we working with inside the box currently? Is it 40%? Is it 70%? You guys talk back to me. Right now, based on the fundamentals of the solar industry, 75% of the inside the box has been fully executed. 75. Everybody agree with that? Or is it more or is it less? I heard Blake use the word mediocre, right? So when I'm talking about fully mastering what's inside the box. So for example, have we mastered communication internally? No. Have we mastered leadership internally? No. Have we mastered culture internally? Have we mastered mindset internally? Have we mastered selling internally? Let me give you a little bit of a newsflash. On my way to the NBA, it was obvious to me I need to master the fundamentals of basketball. I have to learn how to dribble like an NBA ball player. I have to learn how to shoot like an NBA ball player. And if I can't master these simple fundamentals, I will never play in the NBA. So when I left sports and got into the business world, my mind didn't change. I'm going to learn how to master sales, and I better learn how to master marketing. If I can't sell like a pro, if I can't market like a pro, I will never get a chance to operate at an elite level. So by show of hands, have we mastered marketing as a company? Right? Everyone knows who we are, they know what we do, and they know how we do it. Have we mastered that? No. Have we mastered selling? So we have a lot of work to do. Inside the box. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody? Mm-hmm. Because until you master what's inside the box, it's really cute, but it's a waste of time to go and really focus on what's outside the box. When I played for the Utah Jazz, Jerry Sloan convinced me And here's the conversation I had with Jerry Sloan. I'm 24 years old. I'm trying to make his team. I don't have a contract. I'm trying out, and we don't play basketball in King. I had never seen that before in my life. We actually don't scrimmage at all. And my agent's calling me, my dad's calling me, well, my wife is calling me. How's it going? I was like, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You're there? I said, this place is weird. We don't play basketball. I have no idea how I'm being evaluated. So I go to Jerry Sloan, and this changed my life. And this convinced me why he's a 4,000-time winningest coach in Israel. I said, now you don't waste his time. He's a man's man. If you pull Jerry Sloan and knock on his door and go into his office, it better be a legit conversation. So I had some trepidation going into his office. But I'm freaking out mentally because I've never seen a basketball team that doesn't play basketball. All we did was dreams. All we did was perfect what was inside of us. I go to Jerry Sloan. I said, Jerry, I'm trying to make your team. But since we don't scrimmage, I feel like I can't show you what I can do. I feel like I can't show you what I can do. Jerry, since we don't play basketball in practice, I feel like I can't show you what I can do. That's what he said. He says, Walter, I already know what you can do. If you want to make my team, I suggest you listen, follow directions, and execute. If you listen, if you follow directions, and if you execute, I'm 24 years old. My NBA career is on life support. And all he left me with was to listen, follow direction, and execute. We need to be observant of our industry and have a mutual respect of how they operate so that we can go and lead it. Remember this, kingdoms rise and fall all the time. Kingdoms rise and fall all the time. I have never seen a kingdom last forever. Because if I can become very entertaining and dynamic, if I can give our audience great information, we can be legendary. I'm convinced. You want to be a champion, you got to create a killer weight. And the killer weight to me is everything inside the box. It's not even think outside the box until we completely have mastered everything inside the box.